Hello everybody, my name is James Sainsbury. I'm the resident archaeologist at Worthing Museum and Art Gallery, and I'm here today just to give you a sneak preview of some of the Saxon finds we'll be looking at on the 7th of November. There wasn't a Saxon invasion as such, but there was a vacuum left by the departure of the Roman legions around 410 in Sussex. Highdown Hill was one of the first places to be colonised by the Saxons, and it seems that the grave goods buried with the people up there suggest that they were a mixture of Romans and Saxons in their culture, even if they're all Germanic individually. And we have a selection of Anglo-Saxon grave goods and human remains from Highdown Hill. So we have an example here of the femur, tibula and fibula of a mid-20s male with evidence of violence to the bone with a sword or an axe cut into the knee bone itself, and this would have certainly killed him. We also have wonderful examples of jewellery that would have been worn by males and females, some of it imported all the way from the Baltic, which shows the trade connections that existed at the time. And obviously we also have examples of military equipment such as spearheads, shield bosses, and we also have some swords and a very rare angon, which was a Frankish throwing spear. And most of the grave goods found on Highdown Hill date from around 450 AD. This is extremely early for the Saxon period, even in Sussex, which is one of the first places to be colonised by the newcomers. There may be evidence that there was actually a church up there, but this would have come later after the Saxons in Sussex were Christianised. Sussex was one of the last kingdoms in the whole of Britain to become Christian. It was actually St Wilfrid from Yorkshire who ended up converting them in Selsey. There were many wars between Sussex and its neighbouring kingdoms, such as Kent, Wessex and Mercia, but eventually Sussex was subsumed into the Mercian hegemony of King Offa. Eventually this was replaced by Wessex. By the later Saxon period, Sussex was firmly part of England, which had been formed by Alfred the Great and his son and his grandson. And the later Saxon period is obviously well known because of the Battle of Hastings, and Sussex had played a very important role in Harold's defeat and William's victory. King Harold actually owned most of the land in Sussex at the time, and his family had for some decades. So this was a particularly good place for William to land in 1066 at Pevensey, so he could actually attack Harold's personal land holdings and really get him where it hurt.
So what is it that really excites you about this expedition?
The great thing about the Saxons is because they were so early in Sussex, what we have here, particularly from Highdown, is unique to the country. It also shows the fact that these people might have actually been mercenaries for the locals before then they decided that they would actually take over themselves once they realised they had all the power, the weapons and the know-how.
Cool. So is this your field of expertise as such?
The Saxon period is one of my favourite periods. People call it the Dark Ages, though now we know that it was actually a lot more advanced than we think. They just may have lost the ability to be literate for a number of centuries. They still have fantastic metalworking and their society functioned as any other society. And probably the most fascinating thing for me is that because we don't have written records, the archaeology is the only way we can really tell the story.
Oh, okay. And is there anything in particular that you have on show in the expedition that stands out for you?
For me personally, it's this femur here.
Okay.
Because of the evidence of violence to the bone, it actually shows that there was actually warfare.
Oh, okay.
This person would have died a very violent death, and if this didn't kill him, the infection almost certainly would have done.
Oh, wow.
Also, because this man is about his mid-20s, it shows that people of fighting age, there was definitely conflict around here, and there's been quite a lot of revisionist history which suggests there might not have been. This again reinforces the fact that it was a very violent time for some period.
So why should people come to the talk on the 7th of November?
Well, people should come because we're going to have a fantastically in-depth presentation on the Saxons and Sussex. That covers a period of over 600 years. There's lots of changes, lots of development. Many local landmarks that people may or may not be aware of will be involved. Perhaps more importantly, we'll have the unique opportunity to handle a lot of Saxon grave goods. These aren't replicas, these are the real thing.
So people can actually handle them
Yeah,
themselves?
absolutely. So we'll have a couple of swords on display, spearheads, we'll have quite a lot of human remains, bones, and we'll have information about that laid out on the table, as well as some fantastic Saxon jewellery.